Yo, what's up, y'all? It's Roman. This is my third video on my YouTube channel. Everyone else in my house is asleep right now. It's about 2 in the morning. I got sleep problems. Anyway, today's topic is going to be about defense. What do I mean by defense? Well, what I mean by that is being able to stand up for yourself and being able to defend yourself and advocate yourself and being able to get what you want. When I was in middle school and elementary school, I was picked on a lot, bullied a lot. One time some kid sprayed fart spray in my mouth and I had to wash my hair and wash my mouth in the bathroom. I couldn't go home because I didn't want my parents to worry. That's just an example of me getting bullied and picked on when I was in middle school. I would get pantsed, I would get pushed around a lot, just treated like crap by people who I even thought were my own friends. But that's besides the point. The real point is how do you defend yourself? What are you supposed to do in that kind of situation? You don't know what I did. I'll be honest, I didn't do anything because I was weak. I was scared. I didn't know how to fight. I didn't know how to do anything, but just take it because eventually it would stop. But it didn't stop. It kept on continuing. The disrespect kept on going and going and going, and it continued all the way until recently, where finally it stopped. So because I was able to defend myself, stand up for myself. It's hard to do that. It's hard to advocate for yourself. It's hard to stand up for yourself, but it's something that it's a necessary life skill that you must achieve if you want to be able to be confident in yourself and your ability and in your own self-esteem. I started getting more confidence and being able to stand up for myself more when I started doing boxing. And some of it comes from my ego because, I kind of know how to fight a little bit. I've trained. So, I know some technique. I know how to do some things that some people don't know how to do. And that kind of makes me elated and conceited. And I start to act more brashly and I start to act more cocky and arrogant, which is a flaw on my part. I need to improve on that. But the point is that you need to be able to defend yourself if you're going to make it throughout life, because there's always going to be someone out there that wants to press you, that wants to check you, that wants to start problems, even if you're doing absolutely nothing. You could just be sitting there, living your best life. Some dude wants to come up, maybe you're with your girl, you're on a date. He says some snarky remark. I'm, all about peace and love, right? But you can't just let that happen because it'll continue to happen, There's a point where you gotta say, this is enough is enough. I'm gonna stand up for myself. I'm not just gonna let this happen, A case of this happened not a week ago, it was like a month ago, in April, May. It's like 2 months ago. This dude, I was in the locker room and I was wearing my girlfriend's sweater because, it helped me calm down. I got some separation anxiety, so it helped me calm down, and I could smell the jacket. Bit weird to say, a bit cringy, but I'm proud of it. I'm not ashamed to say it. But that's besides the point. So this dude comes up to me, starts making fun of me for the sweater, because the sweater does look a little bit feminine because it's a girl sweater. You can see a lot of my collarbone. It's very baggy at the bottom of it, so it just looks like something like old grandma would wear. It doesn't really fit my body very well because I am very long, so it just looked very feminine on me. And this dude, he comes up to me, starts calling me the F slur, starts threatening me that he's gonna pull it off and take it off of me. I didn't take him seriously because this dude, he's really short, really tiny. He has that reputation of being like a big mouth, that reputation of being just talks to talk. And so he put his hands on me because he did say that he was gonna rip off the sweater, and I said, do it. Puts his hands on me. I push him away, I push him really hard. He doesn't fall to the ground though, and we get really close to each other. He starts swinging on me. He gets a pretty good hit on my right cheek right here, and after that I was just like, all right, bro, you swung, you hit me first, so this is just how it's gonna be. So we start hitting. I hit him pretty good in the body, and I don't really get that many good hits in the head, but we get in this clinch, right? He's holding on to me, and I just put my leg behind him, and he falls down the ground. I start hitting his face on the ground, and that kind of messed him up a little bit. Because of that, I didn't really get in that much trouble because, again, he hit me first, so technically it was self-defense. All I had to do was just one, sign a stay away agreement from him, and two, just serve some detention. But other than that, I was good. Other than that, I was fine. And somehow they didn't let my parents know, so that was good too, which was surprising because I didn't like mess him up really badly, but he had a bloody nose, and that was basically about as much damage as I caused to him. And he didn't press charges, and nothing really happened after that. But after that, what happened is because I stood up for myself, I defended myself. He never talked to me, he never touched me ever again, he never tried to press me again. And that made me feel more confident in myself, because I knew that if I didn't know how to fight, that if I didn't know, and I wasn't confident in myself, things would have ended up differently. I would have gone pushed around, I would have gone bullied, just like I did back in middle school. And I'm just not gonna let that happen again. I'm not gonna tolerate any disrespect, and neither should you. And that's where the main lesson comes in. You shouldn't be tolerating disrespect from anybody, no matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's a random stranger or if it's if it's one of your friends. You gotta set them straight. Do it in a place where it's it comes from love. Don't be immediately like, what the hell you say, bro? What the f you say? You want to go? You want to fight? Don't be like that. Just be like, hey, if you say that again, I'm not gonna tolerate that. Don't be like, hey, chill out. Don't do that again. Just set your boundaries. Tell people what you want. And how to respect you. Don't just tolerate disrespect, because it'll keep on happening, and I'm sure that nobody in the world likes to be disrespected. So set the record straight, tell them what you want, be affirmative, be assertive, and if it's the fact that maybe you're physically weak, because I'm not that strong. I mean, look at me, I'm kind of built like a stick, and I'll admit that. I'm not that strong, I'm not like super athletic or anything. I mainly just know how to kind of fight because I do boxing. So, a lot of that stems from that. But, if it's a confidence issue and you're feeling like you're too physically weak to defend yourself, obviously go to the gym, lift some weights, work out. But also, you gotta understand is that these people that, bully you, that disrespect you, A, they have a really bad home life, or B, they're just as scared as you when they're putting on this persona that they're tough, but they're really not. There's some people out there that are generally just crazy, but most likely they're not. Most likely they're just like that guy that I beat up. They were just saying that just so they can look tough and impress other people. So don't tolerate any disrespect. Don't let anyone step over you. Don't let anyone just say bad stuff about you or your friends or your family. Don't let that happen. It's unacceptable. Don't let that get to a point where it becomes a routine. Don't let them get too comfortable to disrespect you. Because if they do, they'll just keep on doing it. If they can get away with it, they'll keep on doing it. Don't let them get away with it. Put your foot down and say, hey, I want this to stop. Stop this. Don't threaten them, but just tell them what you want. And if they don't stop, distance yourself away. And if they don't let you distance yourself away from them, if they keep on harassing you, maybe you might just need a fight. Violence doesn't really solve everything, but sometimes the dude just needs to get punched in the face to learn his lesson. Same way that I had to punch that dude in the face for him to learn his lesson. So, yeah, just stand up for yourself, defend yourself, advocate for yourself, be assertive. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of your last name. Be proud of what you are, what you do, and who you want to be. Don't let someone disrespect you like that. Have good defense. That's it, y'all. That's all I really want to talk about in today's video. I'll see y'all later.